How's it going, everybody? It's Yeong here with a Death Stranding discussion video. The following information comes from tips that some of you provided in the comments of one of my previous videos, the one in which I talked about the possibility of the black sand beach in Death Stranding's trailer being a result of a recent volcanic eruption or lava flow. It was pointed out to me that it's possible to narrow down the location seen in Death Stranding's trailer. So before I begin, I want to say thank you to everyone who gave me the heads up. I've been trying to figure out for a while where exactly this beach setting is. It's obviously somewhere on planet Earth, judging by the familiar dead sea creatures like fish, crabs, whales, and dolphins scattered throughout. But I couldn't tell whether this location was inspired by somewhere in real life or not. As it turns out, like many of you pointed out, the trailer's location might have been inspired by the southern beaches, shores, and cliffs of Iceland. After looking at images of southern Icelandic shores, I can definitely say that there are a lot of resemblances. Both feature the same black sand that was likely a result of some kind of basaltic lava flow from a nearby volcano, and both feature similar formations of large rocks in the distance. Another big hint from the trailer that can be easily overlooked are the chunks of ice floating on the sea. According to numerous accounts from people who live in Iceland, as well as various photos that I've found on the internet, it's entirely possible for large chunks of ice to form on the shores of Iceland when it gets really cold, and many of these chunks of ice can even get washed up on land. This is especially true for a beach near the Icelandic glacial lake called Jökulsárlón, where there's an abundance of frozen water. This combination of black sand beaches and chunks of ice is something that Iceland is particularly well known for, and something that isn't seen commonly in other parts of the world. With all this in mind, I think it's safe to assume that Death Stranding's cold black sand beach setting was at the very least inspired by Iceland. And I would say that it's even possible that we're actually looking at a game level that takes place in Death Stranding's version of Iceland. More specifically, we could be looking at a pseudo-historical representation of a real-life Icelandic village called Vik í Mýrdal, which resides on the southernmost part of the country. The village looks something like this from a bird's-eye view, and the village's cliffs and shores look something like this up close. Very reminiscent of what was shown in Death Stranding's trailer, wouldn't you say? Now, something interesting about Vik í Mýrdal is that it's the region of Iceland with the most rainfall, with an annual rainfall of around 93 inches per year. As a result, Vik í Mýrdal is often quite cloudy, which just so happens to be what the weather is like in Death Stranding's trailer. Also interesting to note is that Vik í Mýrdal resides directly south of a nearby volcano called the Katla volcano, which explains all the black sand found on the village's shore. For those who don't know, one of the way that black sand forms is when basaltic lava makes contact with a large body of water, which results in the lava cooling rapidly and shattering into black-colored sand and debris of various sizes, all made out of basalt. It's a well-known fact that the black sands of Vik í Mýrdal are comprised of basalt, so basaltic lava flow from the Katla volcano likely had a lot to do with the formation of these southern black sand beaches. If you ask me, it's entirely possible that something similar might have happened in Death Stranding to form the black sand beach here, as evidenced by the lava-like substance that can be seen towards the end of the trailer, which suggests that a basaltic lava flow might have occurred recently. So with how much this all seems to be inspired by Iceland, especially the combination of a black sand beach setting with rock formations and chunks of ice in the distance, perhaps Death Stranding's trailer is actually showing Norman Reedus' character stranded on the shores of the Icelandic village Vik í Mýrdal shortly after a volcanic eruption or lava flow from the Katla volcano, or at least something inspired by these things. Further evidence that Kojima was inspired by Iceland can be found on his Twitter account. One of his tweets from November of 2015 talked about how he watched an Icelandic movie called Rams. Notice how on that tweet, Kojima talks about ice, volcano, and the great nature of Iceland. A few months later, on January 2016, he tweeted about reading an Icelandic novel called Rodin. Then, in one of his more recent tweets following the reveal of Death Stranding, Kojima talked about how he visited Iceland a few years ago and stumbled upon the Icelandic band Low Roar at the record store. One of their songs that he discovered was, of course, I'll Keep Coming, which was used in Death Stranding's trailer. So Kojima has not only visited Iceland and been consuming Icelandic content recently, he also used a soundtrack from Icelandic band Low Roar to make a trailer that features a setting that looks a hell lot like the southern shores of Icelandic village Vik í Mýrdal. If you ask me, there is a ton of evidence suggesting that Iceland, or some place inspired by Iceland, will be one of the game's setting. So there you have it, folks, some speculation on Death Stranding. Thank you for tuning in. What are your thoughts on the matter? Am I looking too much into things, or do you think Iceland will be a major setting in Kojima's upcoming new game? Let us know in the comments below. And to be further updated on Death Stranding, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.